Welcome to the High Ticket Success Podcast, where premium coaches, consultants, and advisors come for bold strategies, big breakthroughs, and real results. I'm your host, Dave Dubeau.
Hey folks, welcome back. Let me ask you this. When it comes to getting the word out about yourself and your services, what word comes to mind as like what we're trying to attain for getting the word out about ourselves? I think eminence is a good word. And I got that word from our guest today, David Newman. He is a very, very well-known author. He is a big name in the space, helping folks like us get the word out about ourselves. He is a marketing guy. He definitely knows a lot. So, David, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Hey, Dave. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So, David, without spending too much time, I talked a little bit about it, but maybe give us the 30,000-foot perspective of you, a little bit about the backstory and what you do, who you serve.
Sure, absolutely. So I used to be a corporate consultant back in the 1990s. I got the entrepreneurial bug, and I figure I'm going to go out on my own. How hard can it be? I know how to consult. I know how to coach. I know how to train. And Dave, I found out how hard it can be because totally different ball game when you're doing this as an entrepreneur. So first couple years in business, I was stuck. I hit every brick wall, every dead end. I finally realized that I need to learn this thing called marketing. I need to master this thing called sales. So I did this, and then my friends started to kind of pick my brain. And I was having a lot of breakfast, lunches, coffees. David, how'd you get that big training contract? David, how'd you get that consulting gig? David, how'd you land that speaking gig with IBM or Comcast or Microsoft or whatever it was? And so I was having a lot of breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee. A friend of mine, who's still a friend to this day, just stops mid-sentence. He was asking me, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? How does it work? How do you get in? How do you get B2B leads? How do you do whatever? He stops me mid-sentence. He goes, you should do this for a living. And I said, what? Eat bacon and eggs? No! Teach people what you're teaching me right here at breakfast. And Dave, I laughed at him. I said, absolutely no way, absolutely no how. And at the same time, I had this really miserable corporate client. So I walk in, it's an insurance brokerage firm. And
surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Those people were less than enthusiastic. A bunch of grouchy faces. They're all sitting there. Their arms are crossed. They don't want to be there. And I realized that my friend was right. And I'm having way more fun with these breakfast, lunches, and coffees than with this high-fee corporate consulting gig that I was doing. That was around 2008. So that's when I flipped the switch from doing what I used to be doing to the version 1.0 of helping coaches, consultants, CEOs, and founders build Market Eminence and become a category of one.
Beautiful. Love that. Did you come up with that term, the category of one?
No, that's out there. In fact, my buddy Joe Calloway wrote a book about 20 years ago called Category of One. But that's kind of a common term out there when it comes to differentiation.
I was wondering if you were the guy that originally came up with that.
No, I wish.
That's a good one. Okay, very good. So that's who you're helping. That's how you started helping them. So fast forward to today. We're recording this just about September 2025. What do you do today? Who do you work with? How do you work with them? What is high ticket for you, David?
Sure. So today it's CEOs, founders, and senior executives who want to be the face and the voice of their brand in order to grow their revenue, grow their company. So whether they're looking to grow or scale or exit or even perhaps have a post-exit plan, because I'm sure, Dave, you get this, and I sometimes get this. People come to us, they go, hey, Dave, how do I do what you're doing? How do I have a podcast? How do I write books? How do I get on some of these platforms and stages? And so someone who might be in their 50s or 60s looking at their next chapter, they're already maybe in the C-suite or they're the founder of a business, they're looking to exit or sell that business. What's my next chapter? So it could be that. It could be someone who simply wants to stand head and shoulders above the crowd, does not want to leave their business or exit their business, or at least not yet. But they realize that they're lost in a sea of sameness, that they look like vanilla. They look like, sound like, and act like all their competition. Marketing is hard. Lead generation is hard. Getting appointments is hard. because they look like everyone else that does what they do. And so how to de-commoditize yourself, whether you're a professional services firm, marketing agency, independent professional, CEO, founder, those kinds of folks, we help them to achieve that level of market eminence where they become not only the best choice or the safest choice, but it becomes sort of risky and dangerous to hire anyone else.
Very cool. All right. So we got a limited time, but I definitely want, to the degree we can, for you to kind of explain how you do that for folks. So we
Sure. So
you
there's
painted a pretty picture there. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So how do we do
totally.
it?
So there is no secret sauce. There is no magic. I'll share everything with you now. There's an inner game and there's an outer game. And the inner game is around differentiation, distinction, positioning, being contrarian, saying what others are not willing to say, doing what others are not willing to do, but that your best clients and your best prospects are dying. They're dying for someone to speak this truth or to share this nugget of wisdom. So, for example, when I say being contrarian, let's say you're a financial advisor. Imagine if you were a financial advisor and your contrarian stance was, most financial advisors do not beat the S&P 500. They don't. It's set it and forget it. You get an index fund. It grows over the last 50 years. S&P 500 has grown 11% on average, highs and lows, ups and downs. And then so people are saying, like, is this guy trying to talk himself out of a job or what? How dare you say that just put it in a set it and forget it index fund? That's crazy talk. Now, imagine the halo effect. I'm a financial advisor. I'm saying, well, most financial advisors, you're better off just putting it in an index fund. Well, David Newman, who might be a financial advisor, I'm not, but just go with the example here. Well, he must have some secret sauce. He must be a different kind of financial advisor than all the rest of the financial advisors, because he's saying you might as well go to an index fund. Obviously, he doesn't want his clients to go to an index fund. What does he know that the others don't? So
you're not necessarily connecting the dots for them right away. You're just kind of putting.
You're not exactly right. So it is differentiated. It is distinct. It's like watching a pink goldfish in a sea of orange goldfish, and it's just a pattern interrupt. You're just going after the, hold on, wait a minute, let me listen to that again. Right? In social media terms, we call it stop the scroll. Right. Stop the scroll, get attention, and go, wait a second. What the hell is this crazy person talking about? And then, of course, you open the door to all of the different ways that you do things better, faster, smarter, cooler, and different. So it's really, really important to back up your contrarian polarizing statements with actual tangible examples of how you think differently, how you do differently, or how you advise your clients differently. So that's the strategy and positioning and differentiation piece. The outer game then, Dave, is, well, how do we amplify that? How do we spread that? And you and I are doing it right now. So one of the pillars, there's three. One of the pillars of this amplification strategy is podcasting, both podcast guesting, which I'm doing right now, podcast hosting, which you are doing right now. The second leg of the stool is publishing, and I don't mean necessarily publishing a book, although it could end up there, but publishing on LinkedIn, publishing articles, publishing a newsletter on Substack, any of these publishing strategies that get your contrarian view, voice, and point of view in print in front of your target prospect, that's publishing. And then the third one is speaking. Speaking in person, speaking at associations and conferences, speaking on stages, speaking on webinars, speaking on live streams, speaking on YouTube. Those are all speaking strategies. So here's why those three work together. The speaking builds your visibility, the publishing builds your credibility, and then the podcasting builds your shareability. So for example, I right now, as a guest on your show, I have the privilege of borrowing your audience. Guests on my show, because I host a show as well, they borrow my audience, and they're being exposed to folks that they would never ordinarily come into contact with. So that's the three legs of the stool: is speaking, publishing, and podcasting to externalize and amplify your market eminence.
Nice. It's not the first time you've explained that.
I've done it a couple times.
Okay, now a question that comes to my mind with the publishing side of things, you say it doesn't have to be a book. So let's say you've helped somebody find that contrarian thing that they've got.
Yes.
Okay, so the financial planner example was perfect, right? So most financial, you might as well just put your money in an index fund.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my contrarian thing. Do I just publish one thing about that? Is that one LinkedIn article? Do I have to come up with a gazillion different contrarian things and publish different articles about them? How do I leverage that beyond the one article that might come to mind around
Sure. So it's a great question. I want you to think about bad marketing. Think about totally undifferentiated, same-o, lame-o vanilla marketing.
AI created, perhaps?
All of the above. All of the above. Do they publish one AI article? Do they publish one vanilla article and let it go? Sadly, they do not. They publish 100 vanilla posts and 50 Substack newsletters and 35 YouTube videos, and it all looks exactly the same as their competition. So when we say, okay, we're going to elevate, we're going to separate and differentiate what you do, so it's seen as cooler, smarter, different, contrarian, polarizing, divisive, if you will. And by the way, these words scare the hell out of most business owners, most CEOs, most founders. Wait a minute, I don't want to be polarizing. I don't want to be divisive.
I don't want to get haters online.
That's right. Well, you actually do. The way that we engineer this is highly attractive and highly magnetic to your ideal prospects and your ideal audience, and it will actively repel the people that you would never want to do business with anyway. Let me repeat that. It will actively repel the people that you would never want to do business with anyway. You don't want them as leads. You don't want them in your database. You don't want them as followers, and you sure don't want them as clients. So don't worry about it, right? We're trying to convert the converted, and we're trying to repel the heathens, the barbarians at the gate that you want to keep out anyway. So it's a beautiful upscaling strategy where you're now talking about only the problems that your ideal clients care about. You're talking about it in a way that is magnetically attractive to them because you're speaking uncomfortable truths. You are calling out the myths and the BS and the self-soothing delusions that everyone else in your industry wants you to believe. So that's really, really important. Now, doing that over and over and over again in all methods and in all media, just like you're trying to put that vanilla crap out in all methods and all media. So it's not just one post. It is your entire come from. It is your entire platform. It is the source of every post, every video, every webinar that you do, every podcast guest appearance that you're on. You want to be reinforcing different aspects of how you are, in fact, cooler, smarter, different, and differentiated.
Awesome, David. If you don't mind, could you walk us through an actual example, one of the clients that you've worked with that's gone through this process with you, maybe show what it was like plain vanilla before, what they chose as that polarizing opinion, and then what kind of transformation that had for them and the results that they got from that.
Sure, absolutely.
Share a case study?
No, totally. So I will go with a B2B marketing firm. And Lord knows there's only a small handful, Dave, of B2B marketing firms.
Yeah.
But there's a million of them. And so this CEO, he actually had already written a book on the power of purpose in business. So the business application of having purpose, a purpose-driven company, etc. But he kind of let that go, put that on the back burner, and he was still the marketing guy. And he got a lot of commodity marketing jobs, and he got a lot of tactical marketing jobs, even though he wanted to be seen as more strategic, more of a fractional CMO, more of a trusted advisor, less the pair of hands doer. So he came out with a new book, which was actually a companion book to the old book. This time it was all about meaning. It was about the power of meaning and making meaning and putting meaning at the forefront of your business in order to grow your revenue and to attract the right kind of prospects, and et cetera. So look at all the marketing experts, right? All the marketing agencies. And then look at all the people talking about meaning, much smaller pool.
Yeah.
Now, here's meaning, intersect that with business growth, revenue growth, right? How to grow, scale, and exit your company driven by the power of meaning instead of just let's make more money, let's charge higher
Tactics.
prices, whatever. So he totally transformed himself into the meaning-driven growth industry, not the marketing industry. And he's published a book, and the book has taken off, and he now has much higher level clients, and he's closing much higher level deals. So for example,
so not necessarily a contrarian view there, kind of a new view.
Yes,
a
correct.
different view. Yeah,
correct.
okay.
But his contrarian views, just to answer your question, if you unpack under that what's in the book, pursuing growth for the sake of growth is foolish. Right? It's like, well, isn't growth good in and of itself? Isn't every entrepreneur looking to grow and join the Inc. 5000 and get all the accolades and so forth? And he says growth without meaning is never going to work. And people go, oh, well, what about this company? What about that company? So he actually is looking for news stories. He's doing a little bit of news jacking that he finds companies that are already in alignment with his methodology or his philosophy. And he's inviting them onto his podcast, because he's also a podcast host. And this has now become his prospecting pipeline. So this is about, again, preaching to the converted, right? Preaching to the choir, people who already believe or have some commonality with your point of view and your philosophy that might be different than everyone else's point of view. Saying, how has meaning helped you accelerate your revenue, get more clients, get better clients, etc. These conversations naturally lead to, hey, by the way, what do you do? Maybe this is something that we need to talk about once the microphones are turned off. Is this something where you think you might need some help or some ideas? And he is just building this amazing network and this amazing pipeline as well of people who are aligned with his message from the get-go, because that's how they came into contact with him first.
Nice. I love that example. David, that is smart stuff. That's for sure. For yourself and your own business, what's your contrarian thing? What do you say that pisses the majority of people off, but attracts your ideal client?
Yes, absolutely. Well, so I am anti-scaling. I am anti-ads. I am anti spam, and a lot of people, and I have a LinkedIn post. I have a contrarian LinkedIn post, Dave, believe it or not. It's called the B2B Client Manifesto. And it's about all the things that you're being taught, internet marketing, funnels, etc. All of that is great if you're in a B2C world. If you're selling to IBM, Google, Microsoft, what have you, none of that is going to work. And I think the big sin of the internet marketing bro scalers is trying to fit this essentially B2C model onto a B2B business and then wondering, how come my Facebook ads aren't working? How come my LinkedIn ads aren't working? How come I'm not getting leads from my Google ads or my YouTube ads? It's because high-level executives with high-level problems are not looking for a Facebook ad to solve their problem. They're looking for who spoke at the conference, who published the LinkedIn article, who has the book on this, etc. And so we're totally barking up the wrong tree if we're trying to get premium B2B clients using B2C methods.
Smart. Okay, that makes sense. And you got nothing but traction with that. That's for sure. You can create content left, right, and center. David, this has been awesome. I'm sure there are going to be folks that want to connect with you, find out more. I see all sorts of books in the background. You've got podcasts. You've got all sorts of things. What's the best way for people to get into your world?
So I've simplified this recently. Everything is available at doitmarketing.com/hello. And it's ungated content. I don't even need your email address. There are podcast episodes there. There are PDFs. There's videos. There's downloads. There's webinars. All kinds of free goodies at doitmarketing.com/hello.
Perfect. So head over there, get a face full of David. He's got smart stuff, things that work, contrarian stuff. It sounds a little scary to a lot of us, that's for sure, but it does. It really, it makes such a huge difference if you kind of polarize a little bit. We can see it every day, right? Just look at politicians, look at billionaires, look at all these folks that are top of mind. Chances are they are not plain vanilla. So that makes a ton of sense. David, thanks so much for being on the show. This has been great.
Great to be here, Dave. Thank you.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the High Ticket Success Podcast. Want to be featured, share your story, and inspire other premium coaches, consultants, and advisors? Apply now at highticketsuccesspodcast.com/guest.